Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the True North Speaker Series. We're the last episode for season 1, and we saved the best for last. We got the awesome Latasha Austin, aka LA. So we're just gonna get a rundown of who she is, what she like, what she love, and how all of this play a part to economic vitality and community engagement. So let's get started. You guys got your tissue ready? You ready to hold it down? You ready to do the thing? Let's go. First.
Flow.
Tell us, who is Latasha Austin?
Latasha Austin. So Latasha Austin, the former Latasha Henderson, would be. Am I looking at you or the kid?
Me? Just flow. Okay. Don't put no thought into whatsoever.
So Latasha Austin is the former Latasha Henderson, which was birthed from Sandra Henderson and William Myers. Okay. But she's the tamed version of LA.
Tamed
version of LA.
Now be careful what you say, because I'm gonna say more. So say more. What's the tamed version? I'm sure. Are you sure? No, what's the tamed version?
The tame version is more like just the person that I feel like my parents and society wanted me to be. That's what it is. That's safe.
That's safe. But when you say that society wanted me to be, how does that correlate to who you want to be?
Or who I am. So LA, she is loud. She's giddy. She's sometimes quirky and just whatever she feels like being in that moment. When I feel like Latasha was more reserved, and I thought I had to show up in spaces and just be more quiet and soft-spoken and even-toned and couldn't get mad or sad or anything in between.
Yeah.
So LA's free.
Free.
Oh, Lord.
I like that.
LA is free and Latasha's tamed.
Yeah. So do you decide, or you no longer quote unquote Latasha, or you always forever now LA? What I mean, the personality, not the name, of course.
I got you. Yeah.
So is that what you say? This is your new season. This is who you are. You're who you have grown to be, and you define that as LA.
Right. That's a
like
great
Prince,
question.
Like how he changed his name.
But to be honest, I do find myself sometimes still showing up as Latasha, but I correct myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's more so because I did it for so long.
Right.
And I'm like, you can be you. And so that's when I just be like, forget it. If they like it, they like it. That's at work or anywhere.
And you know what? When I was interviewing Miss Patrina, we talked about imposter syndrome. It's like where you have to feel like you have to conform to your spaces and places and people that you're around instead of being your authentic you. You know, and I know sometimes my volume may be loud, but it ain't got to be a 10 if I'm in the boardroom. Sometimes it might still be a 10. But
or feel like a 10.
Feel like a 10, yeah. But you saying I can still be my true authentic self and who I am now versus Latasha was like, this is who it should look like.
To be.
Yeah, it's got
walk
to be.
in there like this.
There is no box, because that's one thing we used to talk about. There is no box.
Exactly.
Now, live life outside the box. There is no box. There's no lines drawn, no lid to cover.
Right.
There is no box. And LA live life because she knows there is no box.
Exactly.
What is that magic?
Say that again.
What is that magic? What is that mystical thing that you do that saying that I am LA? Where does that magic come from? I know. Because people gonna want to know, like, how did you get here?
I didn't create it. I just think it's natural.
So the magic is finding your true natural self.
Yeah, and flowing in it. I mean, and you'll know when you're there because it just feels so good.
Yeah. And that's one thing I talk about now, that I'm on this cloud. I know what it's like when I was just floating around. Now I'm on this cloud that I never want to get off.
Right.
So I don't let anything distract me from getting off this cloud.
Right.
Yeah. It's like this natural high that you can't explain unless you live it.
Right. You just wake up like that.
Yep. So that's the magic. The naturality of being you is magic. Define magic for us. What does that mean to you?
So, magic for me is like reality and your fantasy colliding. It's living in the space just for what it is. It's exactly what we just said. It's just, it is what it is, and it feels great. And it's like, oh, this is magic. This is life. That's why it's reality and your fantasy, because most people think you can't live in that space, but you can. Why not?
Right. Do this make you different? Do you feel like this make you different? Are you different?
I don't look at it and say I'm different, but when I'm asked that question and I think about how the people I assume, some of the people I see how I think that they live, it would make me different, but not alone. So it's a group of people that I feel live in this space, and it's others that choose not to.
Right.
And it's definitely a choice.
You think it's a choice?
Yeah.
You don't think it's the things that you have overcome in life to make you realize, I ain't got to put up with this, I ain't got to be this? So it's not learned lessons? Because you can't just say, I woke up like this. It's your natural self, but you had to get to that place.
So you think it's a skill?
No. I don't think it's a skill, but I don't think it's a choice. Unless you know better and don't do better. What do you think?
I got you on that.
Yeah.
So I still feel as though it's a choice, but I do think my lived experiences have helped cultivate it and take it to another level. So, but I still feel like I was born like this, and my life's experience got me to a higher place.
Yeah. Do you feel it's another high that you want to get to? Cause like Keisha,
I'm willing to go there, but I'm not like, oh, I gotta get to another high.
Yeah.
No,
that's how she was, cause she was like, she want to live her life not looking at tags. Not to say that she gonna be making it rain.
Really, I haven't heard hers yet, but that is yes. One of your questions was something like, oh gosh, what's next for LA? And my next is living so free that I still can live the life, at least what I'm living now, if not even better. And it's just, but I'm just doing whatever I want. Like, I don't have to, the work that I do it because I love to do it. And thankfully I get paid, but I want to be in a space where I don't have to have the sources of income that I have to live the life I want to live, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense to me.
I just want to be so free but still live a good quality life, be able to provide for those that's dependent on me, but not tied down to all of these their responsibilities. I want to live in those spaces and just serve. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Cause I don't know what actress it was. It might have been Viola Davis, and she been acting all her life. I mean, and been poor. I mean, the worst of poor. The poor that they don't even put in the book. They don't even put that in the psychology book. Like, we ain't even gonna talk about that.
So you ain't even seen this poor.
You ain't even seen this poor. Like, so when she wrote her book, but she was like, acting was always a part of her. So when she's acting, thank God she get paid for it, because she's acting because she want to act. The check is the extra.
Yes.
So if I don't want to go to work today, I don't have to.
Yeah. I want to go off, I don't know, into
get in the plane
somewhere all week, all month, all year. That's fine. And then when I come back, I can go serve at the Boys and Girls Club. I can help you buy that real estate property.
Right.
I can help you figure out your life and create a plan, but I'm not dependent on that check. Like right now, I work a lot, you know, and I love what I do, but I put a lot of time into what I do, and I want to have my time back. Right. But still live the same quality life, at least, that I live now. And so I do see that being Latasha's or LA's next.
What I just thought of when you say all of that, what came in my head is, I don't want to be punching clock. I want to be pushing purpose. That came in my head.
Can I get that somewhere? I don't want to be punching clocks.
I want to be pushing purpose. Because if you living in purpose, the money flows, right? It's gonna come.
It's gonna come.
When you live in purpose, like whether I got 6 figures in the bank or if I got 2 figures in the bank, I know I'm okay.
Right,
you know?
right.
And that's how that works.
Care of.
Everything gonna be taken care of. Because I know for me, I get to work at home a lot now, but it's still by 9 o'clock. It's like, I gotta check my emails because I know I gotta work 8 hours a day. I don't want to be in that mind space of having to worry about. Yes, confining.
Yeah.
Tell me. So one of the things we always talk about is light.
Yes.
our energy, the flow.
Yes.
And you guys going to hear that a lot throughout this interview. And it's intentional because that's who we are. But tell us what light means to you.
Yeah. So light means to me, it's like, it's a person, place, or thing. Light is anything that can come in and change how the vibrancy of something, change how something feels and flows.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like, you are light to me. Like when you come into the space, you change the feeling of it. You know, that's it. Your presence is just.
Yeah, and one thing I remember one time we was talking about in Boys and Girls Club. Sometimes people come in your presence and it's like a cloud. It becomes cloudy.
Yes.
And then some people come in your presence, it's like the sun is shining.
Yes.
That's how I define it. And I'm intentional about what the weather, quote unquote, weather
Take
is.
that time.
Yeah, when I'm in the presence of somebody.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily that it's the person, it's how our energy that connects between us. So I try to tell people, find those people that brighten your day.
Yes. And the thing, I love that, but the thing that I think a little differently about is, I'm not going to say it's their person, but I do think it's their energy, but I don't know that it's because our energy, the way you put it, like basically our energies don't mesh. I just think their energy is what it is, and I'd rather not be around it. And I'm not going to be around it.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
And it doesn't matter who it is. I hate it sometimes because, you know, you're like, oh, they family.
I don't hate it.
I do, because there I go, going back to Latasha and allowing people to make me feel like, you know, this is what it's supposed to be and this is how it should be. That's your... It's not really... I don't have a cousin that I feel a way about, but that's your cousin, you know, whatever, but... No.
Do they give them the space to keep on being who they are? Because you know I'm all about accountability. I gotta still hang with my cousin because it's at the family reunion.
It gives them the space to be who they are, but it doesn't mean that I'm entitled to be in that space.
Okay.
Be who you want to be, because I'm gonna be LA.
That's bless your heart. That's that bless your heart person.
Yeah, bless your heart. Mm-hmm. You sweet, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bless your heart. I don't got anything to do with it. My ego is not gonna take control and tell them you need to change who you are, but my presence you know.
And if you think about it, they have the same choice and freedom to think opposing thoughts about however we choose to show up. They're like, oh, they too much. What they mean flow?
And like, we get that.
Do they think they Christ? People. Maybe.
I don't know. Who is that? I don't know. Tell us, what is success for Latasha?
What is success for me? So for me, success, it encompasses my past, my present, and my future. So for me, it's achieving something that I set for myself to do, and I can look back and say, this is where I came from, understanding this is where I'm at, and celebrating that. And also knowing that I have somewhere else to go once I finish celebrating.
I think when you say remembering where I came from, that's big to you. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times people are so invested on getting out or moving away or not be perceived of where they grew up or how they grew up. You embrace that.
Yeah.
So in embracing that, do you think it makes it easier or more impactful for you to do something different when you say, okay, I was born here. You know, okay, I can throw up where I came from. I can rep that and be saying I'm a realtor and say I'm director of programs and operations. It's all LA.
Yeah.
You know, but when you try to live in that space I think I know where that street at. Well, you know.
Seriously.
you know where that street
Take
at.
me to East Born and raised.
Right. You know, and when I say a lot of times, I'm from Blair's, I'm from Mount Mason, and of course, I still live 2 miles away from that. But I also the director of expansion design. I also used to be the chief operating officer for Boys and Girls Club. Also the board chair of Nonprofit Network, and I can go on and on if you need a resume.
Right.
But don't think for a second I'm gonna erase LaShawn Farmer Mount Mason Road. Don't think that.
You can't and you shouldn't.
And right.
But see, because you are all of those things or have been titled all of those things or can relate to all of those things, you are more relatable.
And that brings success.
Yes. And I think people can appreciate that because they can connect. You got to connect with people, And so in the work that I choose to do and that I love to do is serving, like I said, and people that I serve come from all walks of life. So it feels great to be able to talk to whoever on this level, talk to that person on that level, and that person on that level, because I understand all of it to a certain degree.
Yeah. And for me, the reason why it plays a part to the whole me, because when I'm sitting in the boardroom, because, I'm in the boardroom.
Right. Okay, me.
Yeah. And I know me sitting here is going to open up the door for more people to be in the boardroom, whether they look like me, the same gender as me, the same address that I come from. My space, my place creates space.
Yeah, it definitely does. You looking at it.
Yeah. And so that's why I was like, that's why it's important that I can remember that, because I know that I'm shining the light on, if I can do it. If this little country girl, this little city girl can do it.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I do too.
I love that.
That excites me.
Exactly.
Because there's so many people who aspire, like, they already know, like, I would like to, and they think that they can't. You can.
Yeah.
You really can, and you should.
Right.
And you're needed just like you were needed.
Right.
And I mean, when you talk about boardrooms, when I first came to Boys and Girls Club, I didn't know anything about nonprofit. Like, I just stumbled. But that's the flow of life. I stumbled across it, and I started to begin to understand that I love this more and more. I knew I wanted to serve, but I didn't understand the nonprofit world, and I'm still learning it.
Right.
But you exposed me to boards. Like, I would sit and listen to you oftentimes talk about a lot of things, and boards was one of them. You had a passion about that, like you do everything. If Sean talk about it, she love it.
Yeah.
So you had, at the time, I'm sure you remember, you had like a spreadsheet, and you was creating. You was creating different things and thoughts you had about boards and what you hope to see in boards, where boards were currently are, and things of that nature. And you threw it out there to the team basically. After you talking about that, I noticed, and I'm sure because you are strategic, you had threw it out to the team that we all, as leaders at Boys and Girls Club, needed to partner with, someone else's board or something, get in on a committee or something to figure out how we can help serve in their organization.
Right.
And I didn't connect what you was doing at the time. And it took some time because for some stuff it takes time for me, and it's okay if it takes you longer than the next person. But once I got it, I was like, hold up, maybe I do need to serve on somebody's board. Because at first I was like, well, whose board? I ain't know who, when, where, or why. But that was my seed to understand that is important, that I needed to do something, and we're here.
So tell us, how does it feel being in those boardrooms?
So I'm only on one board, and I don't know that I'll be in board rooms just yet, but I'm still learning that board. But the whole concept of being on the board, but I'm loving it. But I think part of the reason is the board that I sit on is Habitat for Humanity. So like you said, I'm a real estate agent. I love anything dealing with property. And I love serving people. And so to combine the two is just amazing. So I feel great sitting in there. Right now I'm learning a lot, but where I can inject my expertise, I do. So to be able to bring that to the table, and I'm also helping to bring other members on that I know have a love and passion for this work, that part feels amazing too, because it's some stuff, I might not know, and I know I might can't do, and I understand that, but I'm like, I know her, and I know she could do that, so I'm reaching out, and when I reach out, they like, oh my God, I would love to. I never knew how to. And I'm like, wow.
That's the reason for the diverseness of a board. And one thing I like, my first board I sat on, I think was I sat on my first board when I was 20 years old. It was Head Start's board. Okay. They needed a parent to sit on the
early
20 years old. And I sat on Head Start board. Nadine, I think her last name Coleman, made me. Miss Harrison was at the Head Start program in Purton Woods.
They did used to have them at
in the houses, at the office.
Laundromat over there. Oh wow!
And Miss Harrison said, "Honey, you ain't doing enough with your life." That's her way of saying I won't doing nothing. You're not doing enough.
Come on here.
She was like, I told Miss Nadine you need to sit on this board. And now she was like, you just a parent, you don't have to do anything. But when I showed up and sat there, nobody else knew I was just a parent. So they put this CIC Head Start board budget in front of me
At
20 years old and told me what I thought. How I get some of this money. That's the first.
I was in that Jackie talking about LaShawn formula that was on food stamps and
Medicaid, all of this stuff. And they said, here go a budget. Now, I do know how to add.
what a line item, man.
I do know how to add, though.
Was you Harrison or Foreman then?
Harrison. So, you know, I was Harrison. They was telling me all this stuff. But the one thing, it was the exposure.
Yeah.
And the exposure led to me to be so inquisitive about it that I would study my stuff. For one, I took honor that they asked me, because they could look how many people live in housing.
They saw something.
So that Miss Harris was like, yeah, you ain't not doing enough. And she would even tell me, don't you got a board meeting? Nadine would call her because she knew I had to bring Deshawn over there. And she was like, let her know she got a board meeting. And Miss Harris was like, when your next board meeting? They plotting on me.
Staying up.
When your next board meeting? And I said, oh, it's next Tuesday. And then she was like, okay, you got your stuff.
I was saying, I printed off my doc.
Yeah, I got everything. And she was like, do I need to print something for you? And I was like, no, Miss Nadine, she dropped it out for. And I just remember not so much how I impacted the board, but how the board impacted me to lead me to where I am today. Yeah. So when you sitting on boards, the first thing you said, I'm a storyteller. So all of that to say that you said, I'm learning. Think about it 10 years from now, how what you learning is going to impact so many people. You know, right now it's, I sit on Habitat for, all this, and this. But all of that knowledge is going to go so much further than you being in a meeting on the third Tuesday of the month. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize when you sit on boards. One, be accountable when you do show up. Yes, ma'am. Bring what you do bring, but like you said, it's a learning process much more than it is a giving process. Right. So
you
I
always
love
know how to clean stuff.
But I do. I think it's important,
good.
And don't just say, "Oh, I'm on this board. Let me get my picture taken."
Right.
Let me just make sure that I'm on the website. You are adamant about saying that I'm gonna learn this, and that's the people that we need on the board.
Right.
Yeah. So your presence is so valid because that's why you're like, I'm learning everything I need to know. And imagine how just even 10 years later, how all of that's going to play a part of it.
I love how you said that you put the journey to 10 years because though I understand that I'm learning right now, you just equated it to like my professional journey. Like when I look over how I got to where I'm at now, it all segued into each other.
Wow.
And though I said I'm learning on the board, I didn't think far enough ahead to realize that, like you said, 10 years from now, what does that look like? I just need a moment to just like say like that's good.
I know. And it's because you're in the right place at the right time and you're being intentional about your space. And we need more people to be like that. Yeah. And I think that's why these interviews are so important because it showcases so much more than the person.
Right.
It's all together. It's all the same thing. It's everything. Yeah. So you talked about the club, working at Boys and Girls Club. Do you work a lot with the youth and how do you build trust with them?
Yeah. So yes, I love working with the youth at the club and I build trust because I just be me. I show up and they know now.
Yeah.
Excuse me, some of them.
We can edit it out.
Okay. So I love working with the youth because I think initially they don't know what to expect, but when they notice that, hey, you just a normal person, probably more so like y'all. At least I feel like it in my heart. I might not be 15 or 12 or 8, but I'm definitely a child at heart. And that connecting factor is what I think, really helps build that relationship. So I'm real intentional about, I'm not more so in the group settings as much as I used to be. It's not one-on-one, but the relationship is more one-on-one. So I might go into the group setting to do like, I'm going to talk with I'm not gonna name names,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
my girl that I know because she's over there in the teen center, and I want to check her out and see if she did the things that we talked about. So I use those opportunities to continue to build that relationship with them. So through that, you know, she trusts me, and now that she trusts me, she probably go home and talk about me to her grandma, because this particular kid, she's with her grandmother. So I noticed that me and her grandma, our interactions, you know, it flows because I have built that trust with her granddaughter, and she appreciates that.
Right.
So that's what I do with the different ones. So it's not a group type of thing, but it's still impactful, because the way I like to look at it is if I touch one kid and help change one of their life, then
and
I'm good.
and it's the opportunity for every kid that chooses, their parent chooses for them to be at the Boys and Girls Club. You might not be that one person for everybody.
Right, but somebody
is that one person.
Yeah.
And it even could be a peer.
Yeah.
It could even be a peer. So
Yeah.
it's the opportunity of providing that space
Exactly.
for somebody to find that one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because somebody's like, oh, you know my favorite Peaches. But when people used to talk about...
you gonna say her name.
I just said Peaches, though. Nobody knows it. But... he was like, you show favoritism to her. And I was like, no, I did not.
You did.
It was because I was giving her what she needed.
You understood her, yeah.
What she needed.
Yeah.
And I feel like every kid had that.
Yeah.
But by my role and position, it was so prominent, you know, with her.
That's true.
But every kid came in there, and sometimes they would come through the door, and they would ask for a certain staff person.
You're right.
Or sometimes they was like, "It's a certain kid there," or a certain
even
volunteer.
Because the police department that I don't know what you call them, but the new up and coming
the rookies,
Okay, the rookies. They came yesterday to so we can give our spiel on the club and their how they can volunteer and get engaged. And that's the exact same thing I told them. I said, so all of you guys showing up different. You could tell. You could just look at them. You had this type of person, this type of person. I said, but guess what? I bet you I compare you with a kid, at least a kid in the club. All of you guys are needed. I know y'all all might not choose the club to come serve at, but there's a kid that's waiting on you. So just like what you're saying, like whether it's a staff person, another peer, a volunteer, a community partner, or somebody, everybody, because you're never alone on this journey. It's just life. We're talking about the club, but that's even out here in the world.
Exactly. And that's what the club do. It prepares you for the world.
It does.
To find your people.
It does.
It's showing you how to find your people. And I think people don't, a lot of times we get in the midst of order and plan and policy that we lose sight of the mission itself, because it's preparing them for out in the real world. I can work beside you every day, and it might just be a, hey, bye, when is this report due? Then I could work with somebody else, and we was like, what time we going to lunch?
Girl.
Oh, wait a minute, it's lunch already. You know, and that's
this one lunch.
This one lunch. You know, so I think that's important, and if people need to understand, it's not about favoritism, like you said. It's not about. It's about just connection. Instead of focusing on that, focus on who you need to be connecting with. And I think that is so important in life. And understand that you're not going to connect with everybody. And it's not being disrespectful. I'm not telling people to do that. But even in the professional world,
be intentional.
And if everybody's continuing to work in that space,
imagine where we'll be.
Especially when you're doing community development. The last thing you want to keep on showing up when you're not having the impact that needs to be made, and you just figure out it's policy or my job description and I'm checking this box. I think we need to really figure out what is the greatest impact. And a lot of times that's got to be self-attestation. It's not always
just checking in with yourself and being okay with that. It's crazy you said that, because when I was the site coordinator at the 21st Century program we had, it was at Woodrow Wilson. And the thing about that program, and this could be controversial, but it's my opinion. You know, when I heard 21st Century, sometimes I like kind of cringe. And it's because for me, it was too many things on there that I felt like I needed to check a box on. I had to sit myself down and say, you know what, Tasha? And that's when I came up with the thought that if you do nothing but serve this one kid and help change the life of that one kid, within myself, I would be fulfilled. Now, was I fulfilling the grant? Perhaps not. Would other people been happy that that's what happened? Probably not. So did I convey that message out loud? No, but that's what I told myself, to be able to do what I needed to do, which still in return, I ended up being able to check certain boxes, but I removed my focus off what they told me to focus on when it came to black and white, and just lived out what I knew I felt like I could control,
right,
and could make sure that I execute. And by executing that, I ended up being able to execute the plan.
Yeah, and I think that's always important too, because grants come and go.
That's good.
Programs come.
Yes, that's good. Mm-hmm. That is good, because people's lives are so precious. So we can't be, like you said, this stuff that's coming and going, and then what? We just drop them and you no longer matter? No. The people we were serving on North Main, and I'm bringing that up because I understand with this being the North Star, but we had that grant specific because the population in that area needed it so much. They still need it even more so now, because we had to stop, or it ended because COVID hit like 4 or 5 months into it, and it was a 3-year long program. So they didn't even get the 3 years, let alone we wasn't able to, renew it and go even further with it. So but the need's still there.
And Keisha Averett, she talked a lot about that, because she's connected with tutoring and stuff like that. And she was saying that how a part kids play in economic development. And people don't realize that, even to the staff in the school, how they play a part of, economic development. And she was like, when we start just box checking, and we start just grant seeking to say, it becomes dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Instead of saying, how can we provide this need? And then say, what is the need?
Identify the need.
And how can we provide this need? And then go find that grant
or donor or whoever we'd be doing it backwards.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we got in that cycle.
I think it's because people went where the money was at. And I think a lot of times, going back to our beginning.
About purpose.
Yeah.
So, and what I hope is that we can get people back in the space, enough people, because I'm not saying nobody is purpose driven, but perhaps if we can keep those that's purpose driven in those spaces and continue to do a weeding out, and people will weed out themselves, that's just how it works, but be able to not run off those people that are purpose driven, because I can only speak for myself. Eventually you can get burnt out too. You can just feel defeated, to be honest, sometimes if you lose focus, long enough, and you end up not on that path no more. And there we go, we done lost somebody. Now that seat's open, and we pray that it's filled with the right vessel.
And you talk about that all the time, putting the right people in position. Like, are they fit for this job?
Is that how I say it? That's Latasha.
Are they fit for this job? And
there I go.
And then we start dissecting the resume.
Oh, Lord.
But look, but one thing I love about it, when they come in the room, the first thing we begin to do, we used to begin to do,
begin to do.
Is evaluate the person and what type of energy they bring. Because one thing I never forget,
Walk me through your resume.
Walk me through your resume. Or we begin to tell people why we think they're fit or not fit, talking about the powers that be. And a lot of times we can't explain it.
Yeah.
We can't explain it. We just know what we feel working with the kids that we work with, working with the parents that we work with, working with the partners that we work with. We feel what's needed and what's going to be the best fit. And we stand 10 toes down on that. Now, you might still turn around and do what you want to do.
That's what they sometimes.
And that's what they do. But then when it come back, who got to fix it?
Right.
Okay. One part of working with kids is you talk about is community service.
Yes,
those kids participate. It's the goal of Boys and Girls Club that every kid has at least 1 hour of community service.
Every year, yes.
Every year. So how do you get them excited and engaged? Because we want to make sure they're living, they plan to see young to be excited about this, about community engagement.
Yeah. So we just talk to them about the importance of it, and we make sure they understand that if we see people come in and pour into us, then what makes you think that there's not another organization to pour into? In so many words, that's how we just let it be known that there are needs outside of what you see in these 4 walls. let's get out here and do it. And so then we expose them to it. And again, showing up as ourselves, letting them see that we too understand it's important. They come along and they be like, oh, I love this. Oh, going to the nursing home. Like, they love the nursing home.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but year after year, the nursing home, whether it's the county, because we have our county club, they talk about how the nursing home is just like something that pulls at their heartstrings.
Right.
And something that I think a lot of them just didn't understand the process of or how that goes, and that they could even go up there and volunteer and be a part of. So that's how we do it. We just basically let them know that it is definitely a need, and if you understand that you have needs and we have needs here at our club, there are several other organizations. Let me introduce you to them.
And I think another thing about teaching kids young about community service is the big mama syndrome. It don't matter who you are, you can always help somebody else. It don't matter.
The big mama
syndrome. She help everybody. She ain't even got it. It's like, how did you feed 20 kids?
Just give me a loaf of bread.
It can make it happen. And I think that's teaching the kids the same thing.
It is.
It doesn't matter. Okay, I understand, but how can you help somebody else along the way? And I think that takes out so much about being a billionaire and all this stuff. Anybody can help someone. Yeah. So tell me, what made you decide to go from manufacturing to nonprofit? Girl, because you was good at that.
I was so proud of myself too. And I can't even say it's because I plateaued, but for some reason, I became miserable. It was like I had achieved different things. So I started off as a temp in manufacturing. 18 years old, had just had my first kid, had just dropped out of community college, which I didn't understand why I was going there anyway, because I really didn't have a desire or whatever. But anyway, I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do. So Latasha was floating along. But anyway, I found myself in manufacturing for like 15 years, started off as a temp. When I left there, I was a supervisor over quality. But it's like, I was like, you checking all these boxes, and yes, it was nice to reach certain levels of success, but at the same time, I just felt unfulfilled. So that's what happened. And so I asked my ex-husband he wasn't my ex-husband then, because I wouldn't have asked him, but my husband at the time, I asked him, we was having all these conversations about what I was feeling inside. And he support me no longer working. So that's why I figure out what it was going on within me. So I gave myself a deadline.
We ain't gonna talk about that.
I set a deadline, and I was like, by this date, if I don't have it figured out, I'll go work at, and I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but I said I'll go work at Walmart is what I said. But what I meant by that is, of course, I wasn't leaving what I had accomplished in manufacturing just to say, that Walmart was it for me. I didn't know what was going to be it, but I did a lot of self-work in between there, and the Boys and Girls Club is one of the places that I landed. I actually had a part-time job that was similar to Boys and Girls Club at the time, and I was just doing both part-time. So,
yeah, and I think for me, what made me leave manufacturing was I had plateaued. I think I felt I had plateaued.
I don't think so. And you should have been a team leader out there.
They wouldn't hire me because I wouldn't go back to school. What am I going to go back to school for? To learn how to run the rep pack. I already know how to do the rep pack. But one thing about it was when I was walking up the parking lot, because it's a long parking lot.
It did seem like a long journey.
It seemed like it was a long parking lot.
And I'd be finding myself running up that parking lot, that walkway.
I'm late. But I was in tears. I would be crying walking up the parking lot. And I was on the cell phone.
You was really out of purpose.
And I was making top 10, level 3. Is that what they call level 3 money?
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, and I was crying. But I was like, what? I'm ready to go in here. I'm ready to go in. He was like, look.
Like it was jail.
I'm going to work. He was like, look, you got to figure something out. And I never forget. God bless me. And somebody called me, what was her name? Cherie's mom. She called me. She was like, I heard Boys and Girls Club is hiring. I think it'd be perfect because I was coaching.
Wow.
And that's how she knew me. And she was like, you love working with kids. Boys and Girls Club hiring for the gym. And I never forget how life flows. Don Novak was over Boys and Girls Club. And remember, he was the plant manager for Nestle's. And I never forget, when I went in the interview, he was like, don't you run them machines?
Not no more.
I was like, yes, sir. And he was like, you're not going to be making that type of pay at Boys and Girls Club.
So you understand.
Just so you understand. And I never forget with Nestle's, it's one of the highest paid jobs in this area. And I was working level 3 pay. You guys calculate that. And I left, and I was on second shift, so you get extra money to be on second.
You did.
And I left to go work $8 an hour, part-time, Boys and Girls Club. And my husband was like, just do it. And I remember that was the happiest time of my life, just in the gym doing programming or whatever. And I learned so much about me. Like you said, it was a self journey. I learned so much about me. And it just began, once I start living in that space, because when you make $8 an hour, you really got to be strategic. When you got 4 kids and a husband and a light bill, and you got 4 kids playing 3 sports each, it really makes you.
And you were accustomed to top tier 3.
Yeah, so I was like,
on second shift.
I can't get this pedicure. I mean,
but it was okay, right?
It was okay. It was okay. So I tell everybody to say this: everything can look so peachy for someone else, but you don't know what they've been through. And when you switched over to that nonprofit 2-income household, nice 2-income households, to I want to find myself. Everybody can't do that, you know, but you put the work in, because you talked about it earlier. I work hard. Yeah. Even when you was, you know, not working, you was working hard. Yeah. Because you was
figuring me out.
Figuring you out.
Yeah, I won't just like laying around doing nothing. I held myself accountable. Yeah. And I was just doing like Myers-Briggs. Online, that's the like assessment to figure out your personality type, and you take that and figure out what kind of jobs would be equivalent to that to help you, you know, that would mesh well with it. I was just like, I was raw dogging it. Right. I don't know if that's okay.
It is what it is.
But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I was just going broke forward. Literally going broke forward. I even cashed out my 401k to figure this out. That was part of the conversation that me and him had. It was like, I'm willing to take, because we had a pension and 401k. I was like, I can take one of these and help contribute, because I didn't want to put all that weight on him, even though he was okay with like, you figure you out. And that was a blessing to have somebody who get it, who understood that me being miserable mattered. So, and it was, and I want to be clear on saying it's not a shot to Nestle at all, because I will forever, like when I go to the store,
grateful.
I'm picking up Nestle products or anything that I know that they produce, because they got a plethora of lines of products.
I don't think Nestle really care about the two of us, whether we there or not. They didn't stop nothing.
They don't. But what I do understand is that a lot of my growth came through the opportunities. I mean, it was trainings, it was leadership things that they put me in and let me be a part of, different teams and opportunities to be a leader. I use this stuff on my resume. Like, that's how I became a supervisor.
We even had to work with people in other countries. We had to be on the planning team with people in other countries, learning about mechanics of machinery and everything, the processes, you know, all the chemistry, all of that. It was a lot, and I'm forever grateful for my knowledge of what I learned. But don't forget Nestle or whoever, what I poured into Nestle. You don't always find a worker like me or like LA. So I gave a lot as I know.
Did. But the thing I say about myself at the time, and you probably wasn't the same, because you was 20-year-old sitting on boards. That wasn't my journey. But when I got there, when I was 18, almost gonna be 19 in a few months, but I didn't realize the power that I had within. It took several people, Hazel Vaden, one of them, that poured into me.
Oh, that's what happened to me too.
This is when the tissues ready to come out. That poured into me, who saw something in me, who would stand in the cheese room and tell me, girl, you're not going to be here much longer. You're supposed to be somewhere writing that.
Vicky Saunders was for me. I love you, Vicky. Vicky Saunders was for me. She even gave me a Joyce Myers book that I still have to this day.
Yeah.
And then she had even talked about she said, Sean, I'm telling you now, your words, your voice, your presence is going to change people just by the things that you say.
Yeah.
And in that book, it's a part where Joyce Myers talked, and I highlighted Isaiah 55:11.
Wow.
I still have it to this day, that little purple book that she gave me. And I had to go through that.
Yeah.
I had to go through that. And like you said, Hazel, she's a little bitty thing, but intentionality.
Girl, yeah.
They didn't have to tell us that.
They
All
didn't.
they want to know is go to that product from
Yeah.
the prep to the line to whatever.
No, but God being so intentional and placing different people in different places, and me going on my flow in my journey, and I think about how I crossed the Hazels and the Joyce Cobbs and it was this one lady, I can't think of her name right now, but I could see her face, but she would tell me when I got on these project teams, she said, Cheryl, I can't think of her last name.
Oh, I know Cheryl.
She was in prep.
Yeah.
But she told me, and this might sound simple, but I tell myself to this day, I was creating like a PowerPoint. They call them 1-point lessons. So it was like at a glance, you need to be able to look at this chart and understand a thing. So she would tell me, that's crooked, or that's not lined up properly. She said, your name, even though my name wasn't going on, she said, your name is going on here. You need to make sure. She didn't play no games. Her energy comes with her, you better listen to her.
Right.
So anyway, she told me that, now everything I do in my work, whether my name goes on it or not, I hear that in my head. And so I speak on her and Pam Roy and all of it. And I'm going to stop naming names because I'm forgetting some people, but I don't forget what they put in me. What you see now is what I got back then.
It's a product of that.
So.
Because one thing about Anthony Ramadan, it's just...
What about Anthony?
What are y'all doing out here? Y'all don't need to be working here. I was like, you're the supervisor. You're not
I used
supposed
to dodge him and Phyllis Hamlet.
Yep.
Phyllis would stay on me, but hers was trying to send me back to school. And I was like... I didn't want to go back to school because I didn't know what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I just was like, nope, I need to get these Pampers for Jacanas. That's all I know.
Yeah. But
Anthony was the other one.
He was another one
You're
telling
so smart.
You're so smart. You're so smart.
And he was different too. So
yeah. So tell us, how do you, let's talk about balance.
Okay.
How do you balance real estate, Boys and Girls Club, family, all of this stuff, community, boards, friends, family? How do you balance?
How do I balance it?
I don't know. That's what
when you say it, I'm like, how do I? I'm like, that is a lot.
Vacations,
because I'm still on vacation. Self-care, self-care is big because I was on You About You and your self-care, and you do so much better now. That time alone and all that's important. But the way I look at it is, just like water can be frozen, it can be liquefied, it can be gas. So I am all of those. I play all of those roles. I do all of those things, but I just can only be that in that moment. And when that moment is not that moment, before I came on here, I'm getting it with a client. If this was live, she'd be like, she was just texting me about our lineup for today, all the properties we're going to see, and breaking down the house, the dynamics and all of that. Before that, I'm sitting at my desk doing director of program and operation stuff. So in those moments, I'm doing that. In this moment, I'm having this interview. So my balance is staying present in the moment, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And when this moment is over, I'm moving on to my next.
So you don't multitask?
I ain't gonna say I don't. I try not to.
Okay.
If I catch myself doing too much, I'm like, stay here in this moment. So that has been a practice for me because by nature I do multitask.
Let's talk about your time management.
What is you trying to get to? My book, my calendar, my alarms.
Keep going.
Did I cut the phone off? Because if not, alarm probably ready to go off.
Keep going. All of that stuff. And to the second. Tell them how it is even to the second.
You tell them. What's wrong with that?
Nothing. I want the people to know because somebody might have the skill. Somebody else might have the skill set.
You want somebody to relate to it. Whenever I bring up me and my million alarms, I have other people say, I do the same thing.
Yep, see? Teach the people. I think it's important.
So I set alarms. First and foremost, so I don't forget, because I will forget something.
I know.
Especially at the age of 40 plus, I start forgetting stuff. But I've been learned the skill of use this tool. You can set an alarm. Take your calendar and label out everything you need to do. The night before, read over that stuff so you'll remember the next morning, refresh yourself. Look out a week so nothing surprises you, so you can be on top of it. I mean, and I do too. I love it so much so that it might get on certain people's nerves if they see me doing it. But it's what I needed to keep me afloat.
Yeah.
Probably for that balance. It probably helped me with that balance as well.
Yeah.
But it just, for me, it seems like it comes natural. I don't even see it as like, oh, you doing a thing that's going to help you stay balanced. But when I think about it, you're right. So
yeah,
I'm going to see what else I can add to that list.
But I think it's important when we start talking about all the things you do, because everybody, this has been one of the questions I ask for everybody is about balance. Mm-hmm. And I love Crystal ideas. Like, it's no such thing as balance. It's about being intentional. It's about being, it's right. Never going to be
you can't weigh it like that.
Yeah. And somebody else was saying that at one point in time, you're going to be giving more energy to something else. And that's okay. Yeah. That's okay. So I think people need to define balance. But I also like how you manage time.
Okay.
And I know for me, I would never manage it in that way because my anxiety be so focused on what time is it? It's got 2 more minutes for my alarm. Oh Lord, you just wait for the alarm and you just go. I was like, oh Lord, I got 10 seconds.
The alarm go off. Oh, what alarm was that? I forgot to set an alarm.
That's the alarm to set the alarm. That's the alarm to set the alarm.
And you'll be timing the alarm.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
And I think it's important for people to be aware of how everybody do things.
Yeah,
because you never know what skill set that what you're doing will help somebody else. And that's why I love these interviews, because everybody has said something completely different when it comes to the question about balance.
Okay.
But I know how you balance things. And even when you set the alarm, if you say, oh, I got to do this at 2:30, when you set it, whatever this minutes is on,
you get on my nerves.
You leave it. So she even flows in that.
Sure.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing how you even flow in that, and that gives people an opportunity to see how life can be. Life is simple.
See, I feel like it is. Life is simple and it's beautiful when you simply allow it to be.
Yeah. See. How does your past, and I think we did talk about that a little bit, help fuel your presence and how you want to do things in the future?
Yeah. So what part of my past? I know that it's some things that I went through in my past that I don't necessarily want to have to go through again. So I take those moments and I do some reflection, introspection, looking back to see what I can switch up and learn from. And trying not to look at people so much in the past and look at myself. And that's why the reflection part and looking within is very important, because regardless, and that doesn't give nobody a pass and say like people didn't wrong me or whatever. I had my own things that the person that I was then, and I have evolved to the person I am now. So that evolve came only because I looked back to see what I had going on in that moment. What could I do better? So that's how my past play into my present. And that's also how my present play into my future, though, because I understand me now and I think about, like, so what would I want to do different? How do I want this next level to look? So
I like how you said it, so I won't repeat the process. I think that's very, very important. They talk about a lot of that on my tribal talks. Is like not repeating that. So learn from it, grow from it, so you won't repeat it. Because if you don't, you're gonna see it again.
You definitely will. Get the lesson and move forward. And it's funny you say that, because one of the things I love to tell the kids, because I can get a bit frustrated if I feel like we keep working on the same thing, but that's not like I'm just like that with you or the kid that I'm working with. I'm like that with myself. So it's like I'm okay helping you if you really want to be helped. But if we're going to keep going over the same thing, you didn't want to be helped and we're wasting time, and I don't have time to waste. So that's how I think I grow, because I don't allow myself, I hold myself, to that same standard. Like, let's get past that, because if we don't, we're going to keep on going through it. But I feel like going through it on another level, and it'd be harder and harder each time. Let's get the lesson.
Yeah.
Hopefully on the first go round, but I know life's not perfect. You're not gonna get it on always on the first go round. But once you can get it, once you understand, okay, let's figure out what we got to do to move forward.
And that's one thing I was waiting for you to say, and you said a lot, but I don't even know if you said a lot.
Probably don't.
I don't have time to waste.
Do I say that?
Yes, you say
that's why I set alarms.
I don't have. I don't have time to waste, and you say it indirectly.
Oh.
So what are we doing? So what are we here for?
I do say that.
What is this meeting about?
Because I got someone else with me.
And I mean, so that's the same thing. You was like, I don't have time to waste. And not to say that if I'm learning life, like if something goes wrong, that's not what we're talking about. But how are you investing your time? Because time is life, time is energy.
It's very valuable.
It is very valuable.
And
so
we can't get it back, that part.
And you say that indirectly sometimes, that I don't have time to waste.
Wow.
Yeah. And in picking people for these series, a lot of times it's people that I've been interacting with, or either I watch. And that's another thing. You never know who's watching you, because I can learn from anybody.
Yeah.
I can learn from anybody. I don't care if they on death row or they just been born. I can learn from anybody. I was like, okay, I know what not to do.
Right.
In some instances.
Yeah.
And I always look at that as a self-growing process. How can I be better, even if it's through somebody else's experiences? Mm-hmm. But one thing I can say about all the people that I have interviewed, they have impacted my life in some type of way, from near or far. And everybody who know us, and everybody after this interview would know us, that it's of course near for us. But when you do things, you always do things with intention, even if it's indirectly.
Yeah. I love
even
that.
when
That's
you
the
flow.
That's the flow.
It's with intention.
Yeah.
And
I think when you show up, and I don't mean to cut you all the way off, but
go.
No, but when you show up with a pure heart, when you don't have motives or anything that's your intentions are well. That's just what happens. And that's how I think, that's part of that flow, and that's how you end up in that space. And like you said, you might not even necessarily be meaning to do it, but because it's just within you. You know what I'm saying? It's default now.
Yep. I love that. Default. I love that. So if you had to look back, what would you tell the adolescent you?
Keep living, just keep going. I think the adolescent me, she needed to know and understand that you're beautiful. I think I struggled that beginning at some point. I don't know, I want one or two, but before crossing over to that teenage me, I think I was struggling a little bit with just understanding that I was beautiful just like I am. That's it. I heard it. My dad did tell me, but for whatever reason, it wasn't clicking. And I had this one, and he was my friend. I felt like he was my friend, but he used to call me this particular name that bothered me. And other little things that other people did that I want to say they were friends, but when I say that, I'm like, but that was mean. But I really don't think they meant any harm, but it's the way it stained me. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like those things kind of tainted my perception of myself in that moment. So just telling myself that I was beautiful, keep going, you okay, girl. That's it.
Okay, you mentioned the teen. So what would you tell the teenage you?
Girl, slow the hell down. By that time, I realized myself.
Right. You was like, oh, I've never mind what they said.
And if you knew the teen, Tasha, that was Tasha then, yeah. Slow down. Slow down.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want one more?
No. You was breathing in it, so I was letting you breathe in it.
Okay.
So what about the young adult you? The 18 to 24-year-old.
18 to 24-year-old. Well, we wasn't quite there yet. 18 to 24-year-old. Things are smoothing out though.
Yeah.
Around that time, I think I would have been like, things are smoothing out. Stay the course.
I like
You
that.
on
Stay the
track.
course.
Yeah,
stay the course.
Yeah.
When Keisha was talking about what she wanted to be when she grew up, and something happened that defined her life of what she wanted to be, one thing she said was not just wanting to be a nurse.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, it's more in me.
Right.
This is my purpose.
Right.
This is purpose.
Yeah.
So it's more in me than just being the nurse.
Right.
So how can I define this and take it to the next level? And I think you do a lot of that.
Okay.
You do a lot of that. You're like, okay, I'm the realtor, but now I want to be the broker. I don't know all the different levels.
You got it.
And so, but you could, you was okay at the realtor level, but it's more.
It's more.
Yeah. It's more in you,
Yeah.
and you do that naturally.
Wow. Me and this natural stuff.
Yeah, but that shows people not that the work is easy. That's not what I'm saying. But we can tell people a lot of times how easy the process can be when you work in that natural flow.
Yeah, that natural state is important.
All right. How do you stay so grounded?
How do I stay so grounded? I think because I take time for myself. I'm going to take that time for myself. And taking time for myself in a moment could just be, I can only just sit, close my eyes and breathe, meditate, say a prayer. I utilize those type of things. I utilize a lot of self-care. I love getting massages. I hadn't had one since I've had the baby, and I didn't have one the whole pregnancy. So I'm definitely due. But just like trying to, because I do so much, so to just quiet my space, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah. And then you do the simple things, the butterflies. Butterfly. And that go to color yellow. That go to color yellow.
I do that so much that I don't even, adding up the numbers and all of that. That's another thing that just come natural.
When you find your inner you, I think when you invest in your inner you, it just flows and becomes a sense of grounding.
That makes sense.
Putting your feet on your ground and staying invested where your feet are. I think you do well at that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think people need to take notes from that, because you still get everything done.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't stay in the space.
Yeah.
I can't just look at the butterflies all day.
Butterfly. But
in this moment I can't. But I mean,
exactly.
The next level, y'all might see me out wandering just looking at the butterflies.
But also to piggyback on that, you are also intentional about looking at those things that define you, even if it's numbers.
Yeah.
Even if it's a quote.
Yeah.
You correlate it to life. Like, if it came through me, like if it if I came in the presence of it, it must mean something.
Yes.
So taking the time out to say, how does this portray into my life?
Yeah.
And I think people need
love
to know.
connecting with everything. Yeah. Because
why did it come across my path? It came across my path for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you taught me that, and also I was in VNEARLY, Virginia National Resource Leadership Institute. That put me on a whole nother level in life. And I had certain moments in life where it just take me to the next level.
Wow.
And it was just telling me about why I can't meditate for 5 minutes. And it don't have to be meditation, just sitting still for 5 minutes. Listen to your favorite song for 5 minutes, whatever your 5 minutes is. But you mean to tell me life is so busy I can't give myself 5 minutes? And I'm not talking about your lunch break. You do whatever you want on your lunch break. But that 5 minutes, give yourself that time just to breathe, to recognize breath, recognize heartbeat.
Right.
Just to give yourself that. And life is so different that I noticed the wind blowing in the trees.
Yes.
Birds
are chirping.
Birds. And there's a flower outside my
office
window at home.
Okay.
And I'll never forget one day I was meditating and I could just hear the birds so loud. And I've been at that house, 10 years?
Wow. And it took this
moment
for you to be there.
All these 10 years I missed out on the church.
Yeah.
And it just centers you. It just centers you just to appreciate the natural part of life. We're going back to that word. We did not plan that word. I don't know where it popped up, but we're going to have to get that tattoo because the natural part of life. Another thing, I don't even need this no more. Another thing that we talked about a lot of times when we was having these Boys and Girls Club conversations, we used to do this all the time, is who do I want to be?
Yeah.
Who do I want to be?
Right.
We're not talking about money. We're not talking about last names. We're not talking about DNA. We're not talking about where you come from, but just who am I on the inside? How do you go about making sure who you are on the inside is who you want to be?
I don't know how to answer that one. Cut. You thought I was going to get deep. Who I want to be.
Yeah.
How do
I know. It's because you do it. You do it. All right, so when you're not the person, like you're like, this don't feel right, how do you reset? Maybe that's a better question. How do you reset when you're like, okay, this is not, because we all in life get in slumps. I know I've been in a year slump. I done been in a 6-month slump. I done been in a 5-minute slump.
Wake up in a funk. Yeah. I got you.
What's the reset?
What is my reset? After I realize it.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I can see me crawling out of it, but I don't know that it's a particular formula.
Yeah.
You know, I just.
When you recognize it, do you say, oh no?
Yeah, I am like, this ain't it. It don't feel good. I don't like not feeling good.
Right.
Whether it's within me or the atmosphere because I done entered into somebody's space and they ain't right.
Yeah.
I recognize stuff like that right away, but of course when it's other people, I just leave.
Right.
I try to encourage people to see things a different way, but that sometimes can become draining. But when it's myself that's the problem,
do you go in corrective action mode?
No.
You don't?
It's not a checkbox or nothing.
Okay.
It's outside of recognizing that that's what it is and that I don't want to be here and I'm not going to be here. I don't know, like,
right.
I hate to say like it's just a flip of a switch because it's not. It's still like a coming out, like I said. I can see me climbing out of the funk, but.
Yeah. One thing I like about you was vegetarian for a long time.
Yes. Long
and you just
time.
made the instant decision to be vegetarian.
Yeah.
And then you just made the instant decision not to be.
Yeah.
And I think people's like, oh, what?
You're eating meat? Cindy said that yesterday, just
she
like
just
you
didn't
did.
realize it.
Because we was having lunch and she's like, you're eating chicken. This is like so weird. I said, LaShawn said the same thing. We was out eating lunch and you was like, that's real chicken.
It's
real chicken. Yeah.
So what do you just say? I just want to do it. I just want to eat meat today. And you just say, oh, I don't want to eat meat today.
For the not eating meat, it was more like part of me reflecting on me and what I had going on. At the time, I was struggling with self-control. And I was like challenging myself, trying to figure out what could I do to help me have self-control. And it was 3 different things. I was very successful with one, okay with another, and horrible with the other.
See how she answered the question? I'm good at doing this, So it's like setting.
You are good at it.
You are. But setting that up.
Thank you. Yeah. So I set that up. Mm-hmm. But coming out of it, no, it was like I struggled coming out, but I think that was me trying to be like, you said you weren't gonna do it. Shoot, I touched the
mic. That's
okay. You said you wasn't gonna do it. But when I went into it, I never said I wasn't gonna ever eat meat again.
Right.
Actually, I said I was doing more like the Daniel's fast, that I wouldn't eat meat for 21 days. And 21 days turned into 3 years and however many months later. So during my pregnancy is at the end of it is when I was like, I'm gonna eat meat again. And I struggled for maybe a month or so and around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving will change a whole lot of stuff. Tell me, what are your thoughts when you say, okay, I live in Danville, because you one of the ones that say, I love Danville.
I just told somebody that, Sandy, if Sandy watching this, I told Sandy that 2 days ago. I love me some Danville.
Why?
Why do I love Danville? It just feels good. I mean, I know it's home, and I don't know, other people might feel the same thing about their home.
Yeah.
When I go out of town, I'm good for a moment, but when it's time, whether it's get on 29, 58, or in the air, I am happy. I'm like, ooh, I get to go back home.
Yeah.
But it just feels good. I don't know if it's because it's familiar.
Yeah.
Danville overall has not done me wrong. Like,
Right.
you know, some people have these stories or feel however they feel about Danville. That's not my story.
Right.
Like, I've had so much growth. And it might not have been Danville. I don't know what classifies Danville, but
Right.
places and people do classify it. So those things help make me, and I love me.
Yeah.
So thank you, people. Thank you,
Yeah.
places. Thank you, Danville. And
Right.
so perhaps that's why I'm not saying I wouldn't ever leave. At one point I did, but I'm under the mindset now, like I've been here for so long, and now so many. Like back then, things wasn't even happening.
Right.
Won't nothing really moving or shaking. It was Danville. But now I feel like Danville is so much better, so much further along. Though we still have a long ways to go,
Right.
there's a lot of hope.
Yeah.
And I want to be a part of that as long as that I am here, and I will stay as long as I continue to see that.
Right.
Now, if we were to revert, I don't think I'll be able to handle that.
Yeah. And I think also is recognizing those people to see the heart of it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people can't see right now for whatever reason.
They don't want to. I don't think they
Right,
want to.
right. See the heart of Danville.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I like the speaker series, because everybody, for whatever reason, whatever their heartbeat is, see the heartbeat of what Danville means to them. And you one of those ones to be adamant about it. I love Danville. I love where I come from. And I think we need to recognize more people who say that. It's like,
Right.
I'm from Danville. Like, I ain't going nowhere. I don't plan on, going anywhere. You hit the line, who knows where you might be. But at the same time, So I think you talked about it a little bit, but tell us what's exactly next for Miss LA.
So next for me will be me being able to be completely free as far as punching the clock and things like that, and me just serving as a volunteer type thing. And if a check came with it, because it was more like contract type stuff, that would be fine. I'm not saying I don't appreciate the income to come along with the work I do. I just don't want it to be in place. So that would be my next. My next is just being really free.
You're gonna like this word, but what legacy do you want to leave behind?
Yeah, so the legacy I want to leave behind is the mantle that I feel like I picked up. So the person that I am, not only the people and places that I intertwine with that I've already mentioned, but I feel like a lot of my mom is within me. My daddy is, of course, too, but when I think about my mom who has passed away, that spirit that she walked in, it's a grace. It's like, it's an anointing, and I want that. I know that's already within me, and that's what, if nothing else, that's what I need those that's coming behind me.
Yeah.
To have and to give.
Yeah.
Hopefully to Danville.
Yeah, and I think nobody else I piggyback on this, but I think grace, I love that word. Everybody know I love that word, grace. But also, when somebody say, "Oh, I give them grace," that's not what that's not what we talking about. It's peace. It's serenity.
Yes.
And the calmness of
life.
Of life.
Yes.
That's what she's talking about. And when you can leave a legacy of just pure humility and love, that's something that will live on for generations. Yes. And my mom carried that.
Timeless.
Yes,
Yeah.
And it will always fit in any pocket, anywhere in the world, at any moment in time.
Yeah.
Grace fits that.
Yes.
It fits that. And we need more of that. Yeah. And I think it's because it's not clearly defined. So that's why I want to define what exactly you're talking about. Because
that's a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. I had to say it.
Yes, we'll do that t-shirt.
We got it. Okay.
But I think that's important when we start talking about legacy. It's love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It
the
is.
legacy of love.
Yeah.
So if we had to wrap this up or do anything, tell us what is your favorite scripture, mantra, prayer, quote.
Oh, I have a few favorites, but I'm going to give you my own, the one that I created, and it's life is beautiful when we simply allow it to be. And then my youngest daughter, she came behind me one day when I used to say that all the time, and of course your kids are listening, and she said, life's a rainbow.
Wow.
So when you combine the two, they mean the same to me.
Okay, say them all together so we can wrap it up.
Life is beautiful when you simply allow it to be. Life's a rainbow.
You have it, you guys. Latasha Austin, Miss LA. See you next time for the True North Speaker Series.